Hello everyone, Sam here again. This is a dedicated video to one of my favorite groups, the Avett Brothers, out of Concord, North Carolina, where the Avetts are from. This is going to be not too long of a video. I just want to do a dedication to their three major EPs. It's called the Gleam Series, and you can see there Gleam 1, 2, and 3. These were, at least the first two were recorded independently of any kind of major record label. They recorded them at their home studios in Concord, North Carolina, and these came out, one on one end of a full-length album, and then the next one came out. So it was, the first Gleam full-length album, second Gleam. So they came out very quickly, and those were, I want to say 2006-ish when the second one came out, maybe 2008. Don't hold me to that. And then they released a bunch of studio albums later under the American Records company, which is operated by Rick Rubin. Anybody that knows anything about Americana music or even like 80s rap, he worked with the Beastie Boys quite a bit. Knows Rick Rubin and his works. Probably the biggest thing that he's done is he kind of brought Johnny Cash back out of the slumps of his career. Picked him up out of the late 80s into the early 90s. Early 90s is when he kind of tied his allegiance with Johnny Cash, and they put out the American recording series, and there's still pieces of that series that are still out there. Johnny has had, at least his estate has put out a few of his posthumous albums, and they were all during those final recording sessions with Rick Rubin. So the Avett Brothers with him was a really nice fit, and they joined on with him back in 2009 for their I and Love and You album, which is probably their biggest album of their career. They've released several albums since then, but that's the big one that most people start with when they're looking into the Avett Brothers. Some of those songs are used in commercials and things like that. But these albums, the Gleam series, they were really put out as kind of just, it were songs that didn't find their way onto any albums. It was just overflow. As prolific as Scott and Seth Avett are, they had songs in the vaults, and so they recorded them and put them out as these EPs. And really the second one, if you're going to start with any of the Gleam series, start with the second one. 6 songs, just like the first, but these are all songs that are still concert staples to them. Belladonna, Murder in the City, Tear Down the House, Souls Like the Wheels. Those are all songs that are still in pretty heavy rotation in their set lists these days. So it was a big surprise when the end of the second part of last year, they announced that they would be releasing the third Gleam, because they had just put out an album called Closer Than Together back in 2019. So it was no time, it felt like, between releases from the Avett Brothers, which was no problem with me, or the fans, the Avett fans. They call it the Avett Nation. They're kind of like deadheads. They'll follow the Avett Brothers concert tours all over the place, and the people that I know that love the Avetts, I've seen 20, 30, 40 shows, and they're my age, so you can, what kind of impact they have on folks in my demographic. So when this third one came out, again, it was the same kind of production as the first two, except this time it was under Rick Rubin instead of independent. And lyrically, the Avetts have grown up. They've found their voice, even more so. They're more about the songs than just like making a ruckus. Their first few albums were loud. Their live shows were almost like a punk rock show with acoustic instruments and banjos. So when the third one came out, it had a lot of social undertones to it, which falls in line with their Closer Than Together album, 2019. And now they're both fathers. They both have wives. Seth went through a divorce, I think in 2016. So he's had some growing up time to find himself and then find his new spouse. And it all shows on the third Gleam. Um, and really, this one is almost like a full-length album. It's 8 songs. It, not quite a 40-minute running time on it, but yeah, I mean, it's just a great tune. And I should have shown you this earlier, just so you get an idea of what they look like. So that's Scott, the oldest brother, and then there's Seth, the taller brother. But um, they're just a great harmony group. They have 2 other core members in their group. Bob Crawford, who's been with them really since the beginning, on the bass, and then Joe Kwan, who started with them on a couple of sessions and then became essentially he's a full-fledged member. I don't know if he is officially. They still don't have him listed as an official member, but he generally goes to all their photo shoots, and so it's really the 4 of them with their rotating troupe of band members. But I wanted to do a quick video about the Gleam series. If you're not sure about getting into the Avett brothers, like I said, start with the second Gleam. It's 6 songs. It's a quick listen, and all the songs are just top notch lyrically. I can't recommend them more. If you like acoustic, Bob Dylan, John Prine, for a younger generation, check them out because they respected those guys. They opened for Prine. Well, excuse me, Prine opened for them for a few shows, and they've performed his songs on some tribute albums. They've been with Bob Dylan before on a version of Maggie's Farm. They backed Dylan, so they know their stuff. They know their roots and their history. And again, I can't recommend them more. You check them out. Let me know what you think, and I will talk to you later. Take care.